Hey everybody, it is June 18th, 2007. I am Sonic Sons, and I apologize for not making a video yesterday, but that happens. It's not literally every day I make a video, but I'll make at least 2 today to make up for it. My next topic is Singularity, as the sci-fi authors call it, and as a matter of fact, plenty of real science people call it too. General idea that we have, and I'm not talking about the singularity at the center of a black hole. That's the idea where you have so much mass and it all crunches down to such incredible density of such incredible power that it basically becomes something like different. It reaches this threshold, the particular threshold being that light can no longer escape you once it's in a certain range, and it just spirals down through forever, or maybe at alternate dimensions, or any of these crazy things we really don't know. I'm talking about technological singularity, alright? Specifically, quote, the coming technological singularity by a certain Vernor Vinge, by whom I've just read the first book from him, this Rainbow's End. Nice book. Don't sue me for showing the cover of your copyrighted book, please. So this is a thing he wrote in 1993, and it starts off with, within 30 years, we will have the technological means to create superhuman intelligence. Shortly after, the human era will be ended. Is such progress avoidable? If not to be avoided, can events be guided so that we may survive? These questions are investigated, some possible answers, and further dangers are presented. I'm not going to read out the whole thing. As a matter of fact, I haven't read out the whole thing, but I got the idea. So the idea is that, here comes technology. Here comes advances. And over the last century or so, we've noticed it picking up pace. It seems to be exponential, It's very interesting stuff. Now, the idea of singularity is at some certain point, and the real singularity believers will have you, let's say that it's certainly within 100 years, they say. Some estimate I heard was like, 2035 we'll have it. But certainly within 100 years from now, we're supposed to hit this singularity point at which we don't know what comes after. Things just get really different. It's just unprecedented. We don't know. The freaking ubiquitous computing and just technology that's advancing so fast that hardly anybody can keep up with it. I don't know. I don't know about the singularity thing. I certainly believe that technology's got some wonders in store for us. Things we haven't even thought of, because that's the way it works, right? I love how in the way how things advance in a different direction than you expect. Like 200 years ago, we were building the railroads were a big deal, right? The advent of that, and railroads, and eventually comes automobiles and airplanes, and there was an idea of transport, right? And many of the predictions of the future at that time taught us coming up with better and better ways of moving people and things around, and we go faster and faster and faster. And while we have invented like a spaceship, that goes pretty fast, and certainly airplanes, cars, trains, automobiles are far more ubiquitous than they once were. They're not so much incredibly faster as people have predicted. I mean, obviously, yes, your standard commercial jet is a lot faster than the thing that went off at Kitty Hawk about 100 years ago. But, it's not like we're consistently going, post-Mach. You don't get in your airplane and go like Mach 6 or whatever to wherever you're going. And some people have predicted this. Trouble with predicting the future, as Yogi Berra said, is that it hasn't happened yet. Which is actually the inspiration for a slogan we have. We had a history fair that my school participates in, and for us the slogan I came up with was, because the future hasn't happened yet, history fair. It's so much easier to talk about things that have happened and use some hindsight. Now we're looking at the future, which everyone seems to overpredict and underpredict at the same time. Moving back to what I was saying about transportation, right? And we thought about things moving physically a lot faster than they currently do. But around came the information revolution. Came computers, which so many people didn't predict at all. But some people did. Computers and information starts traveling really fast. And suddenly, there's less need to move physical things. We can just move the information about those things, you know? I don't have to go somewhere to talk to somebody. I can use a phone. I can use video conferencing. I can use freaking YouTube, which for free allows me to talk to as many people in the universe as are willing to listen to me. And there are multiple sites like this all across the internet for free, you know? Wow. Thanks, everybody. And blip.tv. So it suddenly moves in a different direction. Not about physical transportation, it's about flow of information. Now we're talking about information flowing really fast. Is there yet another twist we haven't thought of? Well, you know, what else would we need to flow fast information? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's social implications that we're now looking at, huh? If you go with the adage of human exists first in soul, then in mind, last in body, then we have, as a crude metaphor, things moving around physically faster, and then we start thinking, well, what if we move information much faster without bothering with the physical things? And then what if the next step is great social change? Which is an incredibly crude metaphor, because of course there's always been great social change. There's always been, you know, I'm just saying, it's something to ponder. You know, I read an article from one guy who said, you know, everything is changing so rapidly, and then he stopped himself, like, within the article, and he says, now I know what you're thinking, hasn't every generation thought itself to be at the center of the next great change? At unprecedented levels of progress? He said, well, that's true. But maybe every generation has been right. And it just keeps getting faster. Faster and faster and faster. So, each generation, more or less, there's obviously, you know, various details, setbacks, whatever, but generally, it just keeps getting faster than ever was before. That's interesting. A lot of the deal with singularity, incredibly fast change, has us worried about what this will do to us socially, right? The book Future Shock, for instance, where everything is going so fast, basically, that we can't keep up. My personal view is that if technology starts advancing too fast for society will just tone down its use of the latest technology, right? I mean, look at, I don't know, we invented telephones a long time ago, but there still exists the U.S. Postal Service, and not just because it, you know, takes around packages that a telephone wouldn't be able to move, but, like, you know, people send mail, people send, you know, thank you notes or whatever, people send, you know, we still use it, you know, when we have time. People, the government wants to sell you for jury duty, they send you, you know, a physical letter for it. We could be using telephones. You know, we do. Just not all the time. We could be using email for everything that telephones do. You know? Or at least we could be using digital telephone networks and not these old analog ones. But, you know, that works well enough, and so we stick with it, at least until the next big thing is ready for us. The real future shock comes from when you're trying to maintain on the leading edge. And one of the big problems of the leading edge is that it doesn't go straight. It constantly skews around in whichever direction is most interesting at the time. What that leaves you with is, you know, being out on a limb. You go too far into something that isn't ready yet. Like, I don't know, in the 90s, virtual reality was a hot button topic, and a lot of people invest a lot in virtual reality. And, you know, it hasn't really come around yet. Not a lot of people use, or, you know, the regular computers work just fine. And so they were probably quite ahead of themselves. You know, for a while we were moving on other things, letting our more normal computers work better on the internet. You know.